Well, hello there. How's it going? It's been a while, I think, since we've had anything on this channel. And for those who are joining us, my name is Bobby Jackson. This is the Flickr Effect channel over on YouTube. Um, you haven't seen us for a while do anything live, but not on our YouTube channel. But we've actually been going live, me and David, on the Twitch channel that we have for Flickr Effect. So we're trying something a little bit new where we will be gaming, or actually, I should say, David will be gaming, and I'll be chatting with him about movie news, how we always do on this channel, just going over different stuff that we find interesting in the news, usually a lot of comic book movie news, but any other kind of entertainment news that we find interesting. And we've been doing that for about, I'd say, 3 weeks, maybe a month. And so far, it's been getting better and better because we've been testing things out. So it's been a learning process for sure. We've gotten some things right. We still haven't gotten everything that we want to do right, but we're working through the kinks. And soon we should be posting some of those episodes here to the channel over here on YouTube as well. But today, I was thinking maybe I could start to go live on Wednesdays over here on the YouTube channel. David wouldn't be able to join me because over on the East Coast where he's at, it's already what 11:17. So it'll just be me solo, I think. So let me know what you guys think about that idea. I'm thinking I would do it pretty much consistently Wednesdays at 8 around this time or so, just because I think that fits pretty well into my schedule. And I probably just go about an hour at most, just talking about whatever kind of news has come up. I'm thinking that we should call it What's Up Wednesdays, since that's probably going to be the day I think I'll be able to do this. So everything else I think you guys kind of are aware of if you've been following on the Twitch channel. We've just been talking about some of the stuff that's been coming out in the news lately, especially this week. There's CinemaCon. And when I say there's been news every day for stuff coming out from CinemaCon, it's been just a plentiful bounty of information and news. And today was no shortage of it either. So I wanted to bring up a few different news stories that I saw that I thought were interesting. And by the way, when we do our shows on Twitch, we do them on Mondays, and we pretty much go about 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time. So if you want to join us live over there, that's me and David. We can catch us there as well. And so I think we will be covering pretty much the entire week's worth of news that comes out from the CinemaCon over there. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things that I saw today, and we'll go more in depth next week. So first thing I wanted to talk about was, oh, by the way, this is I don't typically do any of the controls or audio or any of that stuff. So if anything is wonky, let me know. David usually handles all of those things, and so I'm doing it. So bear with me a little bit because this is definitely new to me. But the first story I wanted to bring up was something that I feel is near and dear to my heart because I have loved this franchise for quite some time, and I'm going to bring up the article now over here. It's coming from, let's see, it's coming from Variety, and the article is for Ice Cube closes deal for new Friday movie at Warner Brothers and New Line. So, I don't know if anyone has been following the drama for this movie series for a while, but for the longest time, Cube was not able to really work well with Warner Brothers and New Line because there was new people over there that was handling things, and he just wasn't able to get on the same page with them. But it looks like they finally have gotten onto the same page. So let me read what they say from Variety. Excuse me. Ice Cube has reached a deal to write and star in a new Friday movie from Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema. The new feature, which is titled Last Friday, will mark the fourth entry in the comedy series and the first in over 20 years, following up Friday After Next in 2002. New Line president and CCO Richard Brenner shared that a deal has been reached with Ice Cube to develop Last Friday in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Variety has confirmed the news. Ice Cube has been open about his plans to make another Friday movie, though his agreement with Warner to star and direct marks a significant development in the project. In June 2024, the rapper and actor shared that there was traction for Last Friday at the studio among its co-chief Michael DeLuca, speaking with Flavor Flav on his Sirius XM show Flavor of the Week. DeLuca and Pamela Abdi took over the studio's film division in 2022. And it says pretty much that that's all that they have basically in terms of reporting for this for now. So this feels like the first big movement they've had on this property in years. As they said, it's been 20 years since the last movie. And one of the things that I am so curious about now that we seem to be able to finally get the ball rolling on this franchise once again is, will we get Chris Tucker? Now, I don't know about you guys out there, but I like Day Day. I like Mike Epps' Day Day. But for me, that series was made and built on the back of Chris Tucker and him playing Smokey. So I really, really hope that we can get Chris Tucker back. Now, I'll still go see it if it's still Mike Epps, but I think just that if this is being called Last Friday and if this is indeed the last movie that they would make, I feel like you got to do what you got to do to get Chris Tucker back. And I don't think it will be cheap, but I think it will be worth it if they do. So I'm curious what you guys think. If you're watching this later on, just write in the comments and let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's too late and they should just kind of leave it alone? Or do you think there's maybe one more they got left in them and this could turn out well? Because you just never know. I mean, what? We got Coming to America 2 from Eddie Murphy a few years back, and that one did not turn out as well as I had hoped that it would. But then, what was the last one he just did? He had Beverly Hills Cop 3, 4, 4, and I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was super great. It was passable. Obviously, years had passed, and so there wasn't it wasn't as sharp as it was back in the day. But I feel like when you have the creative forces there with this, with Ice Cube, I don't think he wants to do it unless it's done right. And of course, no one goes into any of these projects thinking that they're going to just make something strictly as a cash grab and not really put any quality or effort into it. And I think it just ends up not coming out as well, maybe because there's not as many voices in the room. And I think with this, you would probably get the voices that you would want to hear in the room between Mike Epps, between Ice Cube, and between Chris Tucker if he were able to join this. That you would get something that comes out and feels good and doesn't feel dated or that's always the worry is that it'll feel dated, that they'll come out and it just won't hit the way it needs to. So hopefully if we get those three in a room, they can hash out a script and make it work because it would be, man, it would just be so good just to see all of them in the movie together because we never even got that back in the day. They never all were in the same movie for Friday. So it would be, man, it would just be kind of cool just to see all three of them in there and to be able to kind of finish off on that and let that be the legacy of that series. But we shall see. So just let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let me see. What else did I want to talk about while I have your attention? Oh, so one of the things that it looked like as though we were going to be able to actually get as far as something that I know a lot of people weren't really on board with was the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie. Now, I was kind of looking forward to it just because I tend to like a lot of live action remakes of animated movies just because I typically just want to see what they do with it, how they make it translate from animation into live action, how close does it look, how well can they convey any of the things and themes that they did in animated form into the more realistic, idealistic looking version that people will kind of be able to relate to more for some people who don't get into animation. So I think that's why I tend to look forward to a lot of the live action ones. And this one is one that I really wanted to see strictly because I remember seeing that first movie and I took my son to go see that first movie and he was like I think that might have been his first movie. So it has a more of a special place for me. So I would like to actually go and take him to see the live action version of this. But it was screened at CinemaCon today, and we do have some first reactions from this. So let me see if I can pull this up and give me a second if if I can see. Um, Let me see if I can actually pull it up here. There we go. All right. This article also comes from Variety, and it says How to Train Your Dragon dazzles CinemaCon as first reactions praise visual stunning and fantastic live action remake, a gorgeous reimagining. And down below, let's see here, there was some actual quotes from some people who saw it. Let's see here. Okay. How to Train Your Dragon is spectacular, journalist Scott Menzel wrote on X, a visually stunning and emotionally engaging retelling of the animated classic. Director Dean DeBlois recreates the magic of the original with lots of action, humor, and heart. Mason Thames as Hiccup is the definition of perfect casting, as is the majority of this cast. It's a must see on the big screen and is a reminder to why audiences love going to the movies. This is going to be a massive hit. And we've got the movie podcast. Producer and host Daniel Baptista called the movie a gorgeous reimagining of one of the most beloved animated films of all time. Full of heart, it takes everything that made the original so special and soars to new heights with breathtaking visuals and a spectacular story for a whole new generation. And then on to film critic Tessa Smith wrote the live action remake has all the charm of the original enhanced into something I never thought it could accomplish. The cast is incredible and the dragons adorable. Although I lost count of how many times I cried, this is something truly fantastic. And I'll read one more from Gizmodo. Senior reporter Germaine Lucier wrote, the live action movie captures the magic of the original in almost every way. All the big moments are there, all the heart and excitement too. Wonderful performances all around. My only gripe is the new stuff, while good and subtle, never elevates things enough. So there you have it. I mean, if that's like the worst of anything someone is saying is that it doesn't quite elevate things enough, but it's still really good, then I feel like that means we're in for something really special. And that movie, even just as the animated already was, I don't think it made a billion, but it made in that high range of the millions, like I want to say 600, 500 million, something around there. So if the live action is as good as everyone is in here saying, the positivity from the first reactions, and these aren't the typical first reactions you've been getting lately where it's been a lot of influencers that are going to these screenings and then they're just kind of giving their opinion where it seems maybe a little inflated because a few days later when we get the critic reviews, it seems to almost skewer in the opposite direction, or at least it's more level and grounded. Whereas those first initial reactions from the influencers have been super positive. So this is actually different in that it looks like there are people who are critics that are in these audiences and are giving their social media reactions. These aren't regular reviews, these are just their social media reactions, so they're limited by what they can say. They can't go in depth, but it definitely seems positive. So that's a good sign, and I'm really hoping that it does live up to this kind of expectation. Just because, like I said, I did like that original form in the animation version of it. So looking forward to that. And as if that wasn't enough, hot off the heels of that, you get this, and I just it's just interesting that I was not expecting this, but How to Train Your Dragon 2 live action remake coming to theaters in 2027. And again, this is from Variety. It says Hiccup and Toothless will return to the big screen in 2027. A live action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon 2 is currently in the works. Universal Pictures announced on Wednesday during its presentation at CinemaCon, the annual convention of movie theater owners. The movie will soar to theaters on June 11th, 2027. On its current release date, How to Train Your Dragon 2 will open a week after Sony's animated Spider Man Beyond the Spider Verse. Ooh boy, that's gonna be some pretty intense competition there, just because that's highly anticipated as well. The next Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse movie, because that should be the third and final one in that trilogy. And I don't know why you would open, even if this movie does good, which I do think that it will. Why would you open up this sequel just a week after the Spider Verse movie? I don't know. That seems like very poor planning on their part. I, even if it does good, it's just, why are you crushing each other's box office potential like that? Why not move a little bit later? And who knows? It just might, because they haven't even started filming yet. And while I do think it's a lot of confidence on their end to say that they're already going to announce the sequel when the first one hasn't come out yet, I think there's also a logical reason behind that, in that they want to make sure that if they are following the movies from the animated series, they want to make sure that the actors playing these roles don't age up too much. Because one of the things I really loved about that animated series was they made those characters, each movie aged up a little bit more in a natural way, and they didn't just look like they did from the first movie. They progressed, time passed, and it showed within those characters. And that was one of the, I think, best things about that series, is that they let those characters grow up. So we'll get to see that. And so that makes sense why they would want to go ahead and move forward with the sequel. I just wonder if putting it in that month is the wisest idea. I don't doubt that it will make money. I just think you might be missing out on money if you put it that close to another potential movie that's right in that same range of competition for you. So it usually works when there's two opposing types of movies that are tentpole movies, but when they're going for the same audience, that just doesn't seem like that's a wise decision. But we shall see. Let me know again in the comments what you guys think in terms of, are you looking forward to this first movie, and if not, then do you think that they should even go forward with a second movie at all? And I'm just curious to hear what you guys think. So let me know. And let's see, what else do I got for you guys? One other thing that was filmed today, or not filmed, but one of the things that they discussed today at CinemaCon was Christopher Nolan's movie, The Odyssey. And I don't know how much you guys know about The Odyssey, but it's, or at least Christopher Nolan's adaptation of The Odyssey, in terms of who's in this movie. And it, for all intents and purposes, is a who's who of people that are supposed to be in it. Because from the article from Variety, it just mentions, let's see, who do we have? Matt Damon as Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, as well as Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, and Charlize Theron. It says no word on what mythical characters they play, but that's not even everybody. There's been so many people announced in that movie that it's hard to keep track of. But he was at CinemaCon today, and actually, it wasn't him. Sorry, it was one of the distributors, and he called it. Jim Orr, the studio's distribution chief, predicted that the film, which is still shooting, will be a visionary, once in a generation cinematic masterpiece that Homer himself would quite likely be proud of. That's some bold words. I obviously, I mean, he works at Universal, so you don't expect him to not say anything good. But it makes it sound like it's going to be epic, and I don't necessarily doubt that either. Just because it's Christopher Nolan and he takes good care of his films, and I think that he seems to be one of those directors that actors really want to work for and work well for. So I think he'll get great performances. I mean, think about it. He did Oppenheimer, and that was just the way that movie turned out, almost hitting $1 billion for that kind of a movie. You just wouldn't think. But then to have a movie like this, that's an adventure, um, kind of an epic tale, then you just feel like he's already setting the stage and the board for something that could be pretty pretty big. And I think that it's going to make a lot a lot of money, if obviously if it's good. But let me see when the release date is on that one. So this one comes out July 17th, 2026. So next summer basically. And yeah, look forward to make all the money, because there's no way that a Christopher Nolan movie that is about Oppenheimer can almost hit $1 billion, and then something like this wouldn't actually hit $1 billion. So I fully expect that it should do quite well for itself, and that's just kind of like one of the movies I already have high marked for next year. Are you guys looking forward to that one? Let me know in the comments on that. And also, one other last thing I think I did want to touch on, um, that was talked about, or actually not necessarily talked about at CinemaCon yesterday, which was for the Michael Jackson movie. For those who don't know, there is a Michael Jackson biopic coming out that was, I believe it was approved by the estate of Michael Jackson, and it had premiered some footage at last year's CinemaCon. It was supposed to be really good. The footage that they released, that they showed, people were excited about it. Some people even saying that it has the potential to be $1 billion film. Now, the problem became that apparently a few months ago, someone, through due diligence, or a lack of due diligence, I should say, uh, ended up not getting the family that's an accuser of Michael Jackson in a case. Um, they didn't get their permission to have that presented in this film, which was one of the components of this film. It was going to touch on those allegations. And because they didn't, and someone didn't do their job up front, probably some of the attorneys, they didn't know that that was in the Jackson Estates, I guess, agreement with that family, that they would never use them in any kind of purpose within a film, documentary, whatever the case may be. It was in a legal document, and this was only found out after everything had been done, and they were, I think, at that point done with the movie. And so that put a huge kink in everything. So it was kind of like, okay, well, where do we go now? And I think that they decided, well, they haven't decided, but the rumor is that they may split this movie up into two pieces, into two parts. How, I don't know. Maybe one idea is for them, depending on how much of that is part of the story, they can rework the movie into a way that you take some of that out and you can make a full one movie out of it, and then you have to kind of reshoot for the second movie and do some things there, and that gives them some time so that they can still put out at least something. There, the idea was that I think it was going to come out in October of this year, or definitely towards award season time. And now the thought is that it's probably not going to make that date because of what they're going to have to do to in order to be able to make this film come out. And Lionsgate is, I think it's Lionsgate. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that, but they have a lot of belief in the film and think that it can do really well. So they still plan on putting it out. They're just going to have to figure out some things behind the scenes in order how to put it out. And like I mentioned, one of the ideas is to split it into two films and put it out that way. So here's what I think will probably end up happening, and it makes sense. If they have to rework it in any kind of way and do anything, they're going to move it out of this year and probably put it sometime next year. And the thing that I wonder is if it's as good as they're expecting it to be, that they think it'll make $1 billion and they think it'll have enough critical acclaim that it could be a awards contender. Do you still put that in the month of October, November, during that award season bracket? Or do you try and just get it out early so that you can kind of still be able to capitalize on it maybe during a different time? A lot of times you'll see movies that are not necessarily, how do I put this? A lot of times there'll be movies that feature a black actor as the main actor, as the main character, or whatever. You'll see those movies get put into the month of February, which is Black History Month. So a lot of times those movies will get put into that time frame. So I wonder if maybe they would do something like that with Michael, and if they would be potentially thinking what you could possibly do is book in it. If they do split it, you put that one out in February, and then the second part comes out later that year in October or November. So that's one idea I think that they could possibly end up trying to play with and see if that could be something potentially they could do. Or for all intents and purposes, they could leave it alone and end up maybe paying the family to be able to use what they have in the movie, and then that would be able to solve their issue and not have to touch the movie as it is and release it the way they have it. So I don't know. I don't know how they'll go and proceed with this, but I think that we should probably find something out within the next few weeks because they, I think people are now kind of being more aware of the film, and people are going to ask questions and start to press them on it to see what they kind of come up with. So I guess we'll know sooner rather than later. And I think that's all I got for you guys today. I don't know. This was just a bit of a test to see how it goes. So do me a favor. Let me know if you like this, and I'll continue. I may continue anyway just to see how it goes. But definitely, please give me give me some kind of thoughts in terms of if you think this should be continued every Wednesday and we can get together. And please, when you have a chance, give a thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will still be doing, like I said, more stuff on the channel. We're kind of getting our legs back under us. We took some time off, all have life issues, stuff going on, but now we're back in that mode where we're getting things together. And right now it's just me and David, but eventually I'm sure we'll get everyone back in. But we're doing our Twitch thing, and so you can join us live over there on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. or 5:30 Pacific and 8:30 Eastern time. So you can join us over there, and you can join me here Wednesdays at 8 o'clock Pacific if you can. And I think that's going to do it for now. So talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your week.